1. When aligning Kentucky State testing objectives with adult learning principles, which approach best supports learner autonomy? A. Mandating rigid study schedules. B. Encouraging learners to select practice test sections. C. Providing identical instructional strategies for all. D. Limiting access to supplementary resources. 2. A mentor guiding a candidate for the Kentucky State test should prioritize which of the following to promote self-directed learning? A. Delivering lectures with minimal interaction. B. Assigning rote memorization drills only. C. Facilitating goal setting and reflective practice. D. Restricting practice opportunities to proctored sessions. 3. Which evaluation method ensures validity when assessing readiness for the Kentucky State testing test? A. Peer observations without scoring rubrics. B. Practice exams mirroring test blueprints. C. Informal discussions without documentation. D. Open-ended debates unrelated to competencies. 4. In adult education, the principle of relevance is best applied in Kentucky State test preparation by A. Linking test concepts to real-world applications in Kentucky regulations. E. Repeating definitions without examples. C. Using outdated materials for review. D. Prioritizing speed over comprehension. 5. When designing curriculum for Kentucky State testing candidates, what is the most effective sequencing strategy? A. Begin with complex case studies, then teach definitions. B. Introduce foundational concepts, then build toward application. C. Randomize topics without progression. D. Focus only on memorization of key terms. 6. Which communication strategy fosters effective engagement during Kentucky State testing preparation? A. Using only lecture slides without discussion. B. Asking open-ended questions to promote critical thinking. C. Avoiding feedback to reduce stress. D. Delivering scripted answers regardless of context. 7. Regulatory compliance for Kentucky State testing requires educators to A. Follow state-specific testing accommodations policies. E. Modify test blueprints based on personal preference. C. Allow unproctored group testing sessions. D. Ignore ADA guidelines in instructional delivery. 8. A formative evaluation tool for Kentucky State test preparation would include A. Mid-course practice quizzes with feedback. B. Final certification results only. C. Annual test statistics from the state board. D. Instructor performance surveys. 9. In mentoring Kentucky State testing candidates, which approach reflects scaffolding? A. Withdrawing all support at the start. B. Providing step-by-step guidance, then gradually reducing assistance. C. Encouraging dependency on mentor decisions. D. Avoiding structured learning altogether. 10. Which type of assessment best evaluates higher-order thinking for the Kentucky State testing test? A. Multiple-choice recall questions only. B. Scenario-based application questions. C. Yes, no, fact confirmation questions. D. Simple vocabulary matching. 11. The principle of experiential learning is applied when Kentucky State testing preparation includes A. Case studies reflecting authentic Kentucky scenarios. B. Memorization of unrelated trivia. C. Passive listening to recorded lectures. D. Copying notes verbatim. 12. Which evaluation method ensures reliability in Kentucky State testing practice exams? A. Using standardized scoring rubrics. B. Allowing inconsistent grading criteria. C. Letting peers guess correct answers. D. Ignoring test blueprint specifications. 13. When providing feedback to adult learners preparing for the Kentucky State Test, it should be A. Immediate, constructive, and specific. E. Delayed until after the final exam. C. Focus solely on errors without guidance. D. Generalized to all students without personalization. 14. A curriculum developer for Kentucky State testing ensures alignment by A. Mapping objectives directly to the state test blueprint. B. Designing materials unrelated to test domains. C. Following outdated state policies. D. Excluding measurable learning outcomes. 15. To comply with state testing laws, Kentucky educators must A. Provide equitable testing accommodations under ADA. B. Permit unauthorized study aids during exams. C. Adjust passing scores independently. D. Ignore confidentiality of test materials. 16. Mentoring in test preparation becomes most effective when A. The mentor models test-taking strategies and explains reasoning. B. The mentor completes all tasks for the learner. C. The mentor avoids discussing performance gaps. D. The mentor restricts access to resources. 17. Which assessment type provides diagnostic information for Kentucky State testing readiness? A. Pretests, measuring baseline knowledge. B. Final summative score reports only. C. Surveys about test anxiety. D. Attendance logs. 18. In adult learning, the principle of readiness to learn is best demonstrated in Kentucky State testing by A. Connecting study content to learners' professional goals. B. Assigning irrelevant material for practice. C. Withholding real-life examples. D. Emphasizing memorization over application. 19. Effective communication for Kentucky State testing preparation workshops requires A. Two-way interaction and clarification of learner questions. B. Sole reliance on instructors' lecture notes. C. Withholding clarification to save time. D. Speaking in overly technical jargon. 20. Which curriculum development step ensures continuous improvement in Kentucky State testing programs? A. Conducting needs assessments and revising based on feedback. B. Designing content without learner input. C. Repeating old lesson plans indefinitely. D. Ignoring performance data. 21. A key mentoring technique for reducing learner anxiety before the Kentucky State test is A. Practicing relaxation and time management strategies. B. Discouraging questions to maintain focus. C. Emphasizing failure as a motivator. D. Removing practice opportunities. 22. Which evaluation principle ensures fairness in Kentucky State testing? A. Providing consistent scoring and equal accommodations. B. Allowing instructor bias in grading. C. Creating unique passing criteria for individuals. D. Offering resources selectively. 23. Which instructional method encourages active learning in Kentucky State testing preparation? A. Group problem solving with state-specific case studies. B. Silent reading assignments only. C. Memorization drills without application. D. Watching videos without follow-up discussion. 24. A regulatory compliance issue arises if Kentucky State testing administrators A. Fail to provide secure storage for test materials. B. Maintain confidentiality protocols. C. Follow established proctoring guidelines. D. Apply standardized procedures fairly. 25. Mentoring adult learners for the Kentucky State test should focus on A. Encouraging reflection and self-assessment. B. Providing answers without explanation. C. Limiting learner independence. D. Avoiding feedback to reduce discomfort. 26. Which formative evaluation activity supports mastery learning for Kentucky State testing? A. Corrective feedback with opportunities to retest. E. Final score reporting without remediation. C. Ignoring learner errors. D. Restricting practice to one attempt. 27. The principle of problem-centered learning is reflected when Kentucky State testing content. A. Addresses authentic challenges from professional settings. B. Focuses only on abstract theory. C. Uses rote memorization of vocabulary. D. Ignores workplace relevance. 28. To improve reliability, practice tests for Kentucky State testing should: A. Be standardized and aligned with test blueprints. B. Vary unpredictably in format and content. C. Be graded subjectively by multiple instructors. D. Be designed without clear objectives. 29. A best practice in communicating test expectations to Kentucky State testing candidates is: A. Sharing clear timelines, criteria, and sample items. E. Keeping requirements vague to reduce stress. C. Providing incomplete instructions. D. Waiting until exam day to explain policies. 30. Mentoring effectiveness in Kentucky State testing preparation can be measured by: A. Improvement in learner practice test performance. B. Mentor satisfaction surveys only. C. Number of hours spent in sessions. D. Learners' attendance records alone.